Depression comes over sometimes on the weekend, stays until next Wednesday, makes himself comfortable, looks over all of my writing and tells me it's garbage, makes fun of how short I am, says my life is going nowhere, and I would ignore him if I didn't think he had a good point. He's not as bad as you think, though. Depression is actually quite happy, especially when the joke is at my expense. He has a sense of humor like a child with a pack of matches. I try to get Depression to go out to a bar or something, but no one at the bar likes Depression. All of my friends think that Depression is a bit of a downer. So we just stay in, keep the blinds shut, listen to the Doors on repeat until the sunrise. Depression wakes up earlier than anyone I know. Good morning, he yells in my face, and of course the morning is not good. But I humor him and drink the coffee that he's burnt, eat the toast that he's burnt, eat the cereal that he's burnt. How do you burn cereal? Because Depression has a way of fucking anything up. But what really pisses me off about Depression is when he's over here for a really long time and he doesn't do any of the dishes. And they pile up there in the sink, collecting mold and insects. Sometimes Depression just smashes the dishes against the wall rather than add to the pile. It's partially my fault, I suppose, rewarding him for his behavior, giving him all the liquor he wants until he gets real quiet, stares at the floor, rocks back and forth. But there's only so much he'll drink before he looks at me with that smile like a serrated edge. When Depression gives me that smile, I know what he really wants. Depression craves blood, considers it a delicacy. I tell him he can't have mine. I tell him to go down to the blood bank if he's so thirsty, but he claims the blood there is too sweet, that he needs the bitter blood. But I refuse to let him taste mine again. So I have no choice but to kick him out. Hey, Depression, I say. It's been great having you around and all and listening to your nihilistic diatribes, but also it hasn't been great. Do you think you might be able to find another place to stay? And then he looks at me the way porcelain looks at a floor as it falls, the way a puppy looks just after it's been punted. And I have to admit that I am a little sorry, but I have to remind Depression that all of the atoms in my body were forged in a star at the beginning of the universe. Thus, I am made out of stardust, and I can't have his gravity siphoning off all my bright. I remind him that if diamonds are nothing other than compressed carbon, then he has put so much weight on my chest that I am ready to burst forth sparkle so shiny you'll be blinded by its brilliance. I remind him that the body contains 0.38 milligrams of gold, and while that might not be worth very much, it's valuable to me. I tell him that I have a lot of shit to do, like turn air into carbon dioxide, push blood through my veins, but he pleads to let him stay, says that I am nothing without him. Perhaps that's true. Perhaps I am nothing without Depression, but I am also nothing without happiness. And she's coming over here any minute, and I'm afraid, buddy, that there's just not going to be enough room for you, so you need to get the hell out. I'm an expert misplacer of things. Now, you might think you're pretty good at it, but I've been doing it my entire life, beginning when I was young with simple items. A teddy bear, a toy boat, limited edition My Little Ponies. Yeah, I had all of them. But it's not just what you misplace that makes you an expert, but how and where you misplace it. For instance, I misplaced necklaces on the bottom of ponds and watches in the tops of trees. I've misplaced bricks through car windows. No, officer, I did not throw that brick through your window. I misplaced it through your window. Now that I see you have found it, may I have it back? I've misplaced all of my todays in the bottom of yesterday's whiskey bottles. Most recently, I misplaced love at a bus stop so that she could catch the number 40 home alone to the person she refused to misplace. Now, if you were to ask me why I misplaced so many things, I can tell you that it's a family tradition, beginning with my forefathers, who misplaced their native country so that they could come to America and misplace native peoples. Now, my little sister's just getting the hang of it. She's misplacing her childhood as she misplaces her belief in fairy tales. My brother misplaced God when God misplaced his spine. My father misplaces his temper, but only when he misplaces his sobriety, which is the reason why my mother misplaced all of her trust in him. Now, my grandfather is the best misplacer out of anyone I know. He's misplaced wars. He's misplaced religions. He's currently in the process of misplacing all of his memories. Sometimes it's my name. Other times it's where he is. I've seen him misplace entire decades as he waits alone in the living room for the arrival of his long-deceased wife. And I find him there. And we find his grief over and over and over and over again. Do you think she'll be home soon? He asks me. No, Grandpa. She passed away 10 years ago. Do you think she'll be home soon? No, Grandpa. She passed away 10 years ago. Do you think she'll be home soon? No, Grandpa. She passed away 10 years ago. And each time I tell him the news, it's as though the coffin lid closed yesterday, and the breath is misplaced from his body like a halo misplacing its angel. But Grandpa, you've taught me well that there are some things best left misplaced. Do you think she'll be home soon? Yeah, Grandpa, she'll be home any minute now. My father once told me that computers are made out of wizard brains, and I believed him because I was 4 years old. He also told me that eating grass would cure allergies, that he owned millions in stocks, and that he alone invented recess. I'd like to think that it's not that my father was a pathological liar, but rather the world never quite added up to his reality. But he was still the man that we ran to every time we scraped our knees, the one who cheered loudest in the grandstand, the one who held us tight like a life vest so that we would never sink. His habit of deception, though, was so familiar that our skepticism only came natural. When he said he was proud of us, we were incredulous. When he told us that he loved us, we were doubtful. When he claimed that he was a good man, we knew it wasn't true. The day came when he told us he had cancer. And it wasn't the first time, so we didn't believe him. Then his hair fell out in fistfuls, but we didn't believe him. Then he coughed up blood, but we didn't believe him. Then he was too weak to leave his bed, but we didn't believe him. Cancer, though, is an honest disease. Cancer will not deceive you, will not lie about its intentions. Cancer will keep its promise. Yet even after cancer made my father an honest man, he still continued with his lies. When he told us not to worry, that he was going to be fine, we still didn't believe him. The only time I ever trusted my father was when he lay very still in his coffin, and I asked him, Dad, are you in heaven? And he didn't say a word. But words are deceptive. The word is not the object that it tries to represent. The word table is not the actual table. I repeat this over and over and over to convince myself that everyone is a liar and that my father was a good person. On days that I miss him the most, I tell my own lies. This is how I mourn him. I tell people that I'm busy when I'm not, that they look great when they don't, that they can depend on me when they can't. Every minor fib brings me closer to Dad in some small way. Eating grass will cure allergies, and they believe me. I have millions on stock, then they believe me. Each lie is a small explosion in my chest, a pocket-sized thrill. I tell them that I'm a war vet, and they believe me. I tell them that I'm a hero, and they believe me. I tell these lies to be closer to them, to wrap myself in their admiration, even though I feel farther from myself, like wearing a life vest made out of lead. I tell my wife that I love her. I tell my kids that I love them, and they believe me. Sometimes I wish I could believe myself. It's not that I'm a pathological liar, no. It's just that the world doesn't quite add up to my reality. I tell everyone about my father. Tell everyone that he died of cancer. And they believe me. Everyone believes me. You should see the look on their faces when they do.